Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Final Concept. So I saw this wallpaper on one of the phones Marcus Browning was reviewing. I think it's one of the OnePlus's phones, and I thought I should try and create that wallpaper in Adobe Photoshop. So in this video, I'm going to bring you on board, and in case you want to learn how to create this exact thing that I created, you can also follow along and create your own. Anyway, let's just get started. Welcome to Final Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our application. As always, I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC 2019, and I'll go ahead and create a new document. So over here, usually I'll select 1920 by 1080. If you can't find it, just go into film and video and you should find it in any of these. 1080p should be just fine. And what I'm going to do is also change the orientation to portrait, so that's going to make it 1080 by 1920 rather, and click on OK. But no, let's change the resolution to 300 pixels per inch and just click on OK. Now an important fact here is to hold down Ctrl and press the letter R. So Ctrl R will bring up the rulers. Just click and drag to the center like so. The moment it just clips at the center, you know that that's your center. Ctrl R to hide the rulers, and I'll fit this to screen using the zoom tool. Now most of the things you'll be creating will be using the pen tool, so let's go ahead and select it. The short key is P on your keyboard. Make sure you go up here where we have path usually and set it to shape. Now set the fill color to a solid color like black, and the stroke is set to none, so it's going to be the first one. Now luckily for us, everything we are going to create is going to be symmetrical. So what this means is we can just create it on one side and just flip it on the other, and we'll have a perfect image. So let's go ahead and create some fake clouds. I'm always going to make it overlap just a little bit, and I'll explain later on in the video why I do that. So let's just click somewhere around here and just hit enter on the keyboard. So this is going to be one of the clouds, or probably for the sky. So I'll do something similar. Just click and drag to create the curves, something like so, and I'll select that area as well. Now let's go ahead and change the color so that we can know what we are dealing with. So I'll double click and I'll select a blue color like this. I think something like this is okay. So I'm going with 4A5 DD4, and I'll click on OK. Now make sure that shape 1 is on top of shape 2, so I'll bring that on top like so that we can see the bottom one. And for the bottom one, I'll also double click. Since it is a shape, I can go ahead and change the color. So I'll select a blue color like this, but I'll make it a bit darker like so, and just click on OK. There's something we are going to be applying, that is a gradient effect. So with shape 2 selected, go into FX and click on gradient overlay. Now I'll bring this over to this side. Where we have the gradient, click on the rectangle with the color in there and select the first, actually select the second preset, which is foreground to transparent. Before that, make sure that your foreground color is set to black. So if it is not, you can just click on this little true black and white icon over here. So let's go back. You can do that by double clicking on the right edge of whatever layer you are in to access the layer style. So you can see that we already have a gradient. If I click on gradient overlay, we already have a gradient from the top. We want it to come from the bottom, so what we will do is we will reverse this. So mine is already set to reverse, that's why I'm seeing it like that. So probably click on reverse like so and just have it in there like this. I think something like this is pretty cool, and just click on OK. So now we have these two clouds. So the next thing is to create the mountain itself so that we can have the waterfall at the center. And to do that, I'll be using the rectangle tool, and I'll just create a rectangle like so. The size doesn't actually matter because you can always select the move tool, V on your keyboard, and resize it or reposition it. So let's place this somewhere around here. I think about this big is fine to have a little bit of space here so that we can work with it. You know what, let me just double click this and change the name. So let's change this to mountain, and let's change this to top cloud. No, let's make this sky, and this rather cloud. Alright, so for the mountain, with the move tool still selected, click on any of the edges or hold down Ctrl and press T, either one will work, and just click on this little icon you have at the top here. This will allow us to warp it or deform the shape. So I'll be able to pull this bottom up and also pull this up like so, and probably the same as this, and I can also stretch this out outside our workspace like so. So once we have that, click on OK. Now we are basically we are almost done. I mean, for the foundation, we are also going to select the pen tool one more time, still making sure that we have these same settings. We're going to be creating some fake trees. So to do that, they are basically just rectangles. So move, click something like this and make a smaller one like so. Once you are done, just hit enter on your keyboard, and again let's select a blue color for that. So I'll be using the exact same blue color for the clouds like so, and I'll click on OK, and I'll be using the exact same gradient we have in here. So with the cloud selected, just right click, go to copy layer style. Layer style is the effect we applied on this layer, and I'll select, let me call this tree. If you want to just change the name, just double click on the name. So I'll right click and go to paste layer style. So this is going to paste the exact same effect I had on the other one. If I zoom in and I undo and redo, you can see that we have that. Alright, if you want to just adjust this shape, just double click on the FX, go into that gradient overlay, and then you'll be able to adjust it according to how you want it. I've set my scale to 100. Probably I should change it, sorry, 150. I should probably change it to 100, and I think this is okay. You can also play with the opacity if you are interested, but I think this is okay, and I'll click on that. Now obviously I can't have the trees sticking out like so, they have to be behind the mountain. So what I'll do is I'll just click and put that layer at the back so that it's going to show behind it. Now let's duplicate this cloud I have in here. So Control J, or just click and drop on the new layer icon. That's also going to create a duplicate for you. Now the reason why we want to create a duplicate is we want to flip one around so that it's going to be a bit uneven. So select the move tool, click on any of the edges, or Control T to bring up the transform options. Right click and go to flip horizontal. If you don't click on any of the edges, the flip horizontal option is not going to show. So I'll bring this, I think somewhere around here should be fine. And when I release, you see that we have this wavy look of the clouds in there. You can also just go ahead and play with the position so that they don't actually look the same. You can also just make it smaller or wider, or however you want it. So I think something like this is okay, and I can stick with this. So things are looking up already. There's one more thing I want to add in. So let's go back to the pen tool, still using the exact same settings. Just create a shape like this, or we can even make it a bit curvy, so something like this, and just hit enter one more time. This is also going to be behind the mountain and also behind the trees. So if I double click, I can also change the color. This time around I'll be using the color of the sky and probably make it a bit fainter. So I think something like this should be okay. So for that I'll be using 9FA 8DE and just click on OK. So basically we are done with the foundation. What I'm going to do is select the bottom layer, hold down Control to select all of them, or you can just select the bottom layer, hold down Shift and select the top layer. This will select everything for you. Hold down Control and press G. This is going to group them up like so. If you think you can do that too, just click and drop onto the group icon, which is here. That's the fit icon at the bottom here. That's going to create a group for you like so. So once we have group one, just create a duplicate like so. Now we have a copy of it. Go back to the move tool. Make sure you click any of the edges, or Control T to bring up the transform options. Right click and go to flip horizontal. So now that we have that, we can move this over to the other side like so. Make sure that they are overlapping over here, and I think something like this is okay. Now we can work with this, I was supposed to actually change the color of the mountain, so let's just go into both layers and do that. So for that, I'll just be using the same blue color from here. I'll probably make it a bit darker. So let's select one from here. So 2E3, EA3, and just click on OK. I think I should make it darker. So let's go with this 2D3, B8E. Click on OK. Double click on the mountain in the first group also and select the exact same color. So we have something like this. Now I was supposed to add in a color overlay somewhere here so that we don't have this white background. So let's just do that. With the background selected so that it will be on top of the background, go into the adjustment panel down here and click on solid color, and you are going to select any of the blue colors in here. In my case, I'll be using an alternative blue color which is not also here, so I'll be selecting the sky for this because it is still in the sky. And once I have done that too, I'm also going again in the adjustment panel, click on gradient overlay, click on gradient actually, or let's just apply the gradient overlay instead. So with that layer still selected, go to FX, click on gradient overlay, and I can push this to the top and have a gradient overlay like so, and just click on OK. Now basically we are done with the setting. An unfortunate thing is you can see that these things are sticking out. So to correct that, we can use what we call the rectangular marquee tool. You can see that over here, and I'll just create a selection around this area. So once I have the selection, I'm just going to be removing anything that is going beyond this entire area. So that's going to be the shapes on this side. So I'll select the shapes. The first one is going to be, most of them are the skies, so I'll just click on this icon right here, which is to add a layer mask. Click on that. I'll create the selection one more time, select the clouds, do the exact same thing. I'll create one more selection, select the second cloud and do the exact same thing. So once I have that, select the layer mask, not the layer itself, the layer mask, hold down Ctrl and press I. I is going to invert that selection. Do the exact same thing for this, Ctrl I, select the layer mask, Ctrl I. So basically you'll be doing the exact same thing on the other side. I was supposed to do this before actually creating the duplicate and flipping it around. So let's do that. I'll create a selection, create a layer mask for the clouds, create a selection, layer mask for the clouds. You don't have to actually do this exact same thing. You can just hold down Control and click here to create that selection one more time for the sky. So Control I, Control I, Control I. Alright, now we have this. It's still not aligned perfectly, so what I'll do is I'll just select that and bring it down using the arrow keys on my keyboard. I'll select this also and bring it up like so. Yeah, I think now everything is looking uniform at the center. So let's create the waterfall, and to do that I'll be using the rectangle tool. So I'll create a rectangle like this. I've told you it doesn't really matter, and I think white is okay because of course you replace water with a white color. So I just use the move tool to align it at the edges like so, and this is looking pretty neat. So let's call this waterfall, and I'll go ahead and grab the ellipse so that we can create our moon. So I'll just start clicking and dragging, then I'll hold down the shift key to get a perfect circle. So I think something like this is okay, and I'll use the move tool to place it at the center like so. I think this is looking awesome. Now we can't obviously have it like this. There's no flare, nothing in there, so it looks kind of boring. So to create some flare, I'll just be using the rectangle tool one more time. This time I'll create a rectangle about this big, and I'll use the move tool to place it somewhere around here. Now once I have done that, let's make the size a bit smaller like so. Once I have done that, I'll make sure that this rectangle, let's call the ellipse the moon. I'll make sure that this rectangle is rasterized or flattened. So to do that, just right click and go to Rasterize Layer. And the reason why we do this is you can't apply any filters in there if it is not rasterized. So if you go into filter, go into blur, swipe over to motion blur, should be somewhere around here. You are going to be told to convert it to a smart object or rasterize. I usually rasterize, but I think we should convert it to a smart object so that at any point in time we can just make changes to it. So I'm going to increase the distance to virtually anything as long as I'm comfortable. So I think somewhere around 500 should be just fine. Then the angle is set to 0 because I want it horizontally, and just click on OK. So once I have this, I'm just going to be creating a duplicate. So Ctrl J, and for the duplicate, I'm actually going to flip it around. So I'll click and drag like so, and I'll change the orientation up here to about -90 and just click on OK. Now that is also going to move horizontally because the action on this is also horizontal. So to correct that, I'll just double click on motion blur, which is over here, and I'll change the angle to 90 degrees so that it's going to be vertical, and I'll just click on OK. So if I go ahead and bring this out, you can see that we are having that glow in there. You can always change the size so that the glow is not going to be much, or if you think this is too much, you can always just go back to the motion blur and reduce the distance. So whatever makes this comfortable for you, you can just go ahead and use that. So basically that is it. Everything is coming alive already. Let's group this up. So select both of them, Ctrl G, actually select the moon also, Ctrl G, and let's call this moon, put it in a folder so that you'll be able to distinguish later on. So basically we are done, but before that I also want to add in a gradient fill. So just go down here to the adjustment panel, click on gradient. Now click on the rectangle next to the gradient text, select the second preset, which is foreground to transparent, click on the bottom icon right here and click on color. You'll be able to change the color to whatever you want. In my case, I'll just be using a purplish color and click on OK. And I'll do the exact same thing over here. So double click or just click and click color. Both of them is going to work for you. And this time around, I'll be selecting a bluish color. So something like this is okay. Now, once I click on OK and I'm back into this window. So once I'm in this window, I'll be able to adjust the gradient fill. So now I have little purple at the bottom and more blue at the top. If I pull this to the top, more purple and less blue. I want the purple to be down here, so somewhere around here should be just fine, and I'll just click on OK. So this is how our gradient fill is looking like. So basically that is it. You can go ahead and click on File, click on Save As, and select the save file type like a JPEG and go ahead and save this. But if you also want to add in a little bit of details like what I'm going to do, I don't want this tutorial to be too long, so you can go ahead and add that, or you can just save this work up. So I'm going to be adding a few details and I'll get back to you. Feel the earth shaking under our feet. Oh, this night is just all we need when there's no one else to blame. We are the ones about to break the mold. The curtain call that will start the show. We are the ones about to lose control. We are the daylight. We are the daylight. We are the daylight. As always, the Psd template is going to be linked below, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.